My fellow Guardians, what's up y'all? Welcome back to another Sly Nation Destiny 2 video for ya. And this time we're taking a look at the second master level nightmare hunt for this week, which is going to be the Fanatic. We'll go over characters, weapon loadouts, mods, and how to get through this bad boy to not only beat it, but get the time trial triumph along with it. The Fanatic has one of the longer time trials of the game at 11 minutes long, which is plenty of time for this boss fight. For the next and final Nightmare Hunt video this week, we'll go over Skolos. Himself, along with Tanix, they both hold the top 2 spots of having the shortest time trials with 6 and 7 minutes to clear it. So let's jump into getting your characters ready first and foremost. Now if you watched all my other Nightmare Hunt guides, you're probably getting tired of hearing this, but for those who are watching for a specific boss, they definitely need the full rundown. So it is best if you have a secondary set of armor that you can use for your master nightmare hunts and nightfalls, and another for your raids and PvP, stuff like that, as it's easier to swap out a few pieces of armor rather than switching out 3 to 4 mods on every armor piece while paying the glimmer every time. As far as mods are concerned, there are 2 ways you can go about this boss fight, or this encounter in general. If you're new to the whole master tier nightmare hunts and this is your first time taking it seriously, then you need to complete a few of them before you have a full set of supreme mods, which help out a lot. The supreme mods you get in nightmare hunts are a step above enhanced. If you've completed these master tier hunts for the past few weeks, then you will no doubt have all of them. If you do, you're going to want to equip 1 supreme breaker mod and 1 supreme banisher, while the rest you're going to want to stack good old dreambane mods. Do this for all 3 characters, your entire team. Now as far as team makeup, you're going to want a warlock running Well of Radiance, and if you want to get through this super quickly, then 2 hunters running bottom tree golden gun with the Nighthawk exotic helmet. Of course, the hunters aren't a must, but it just makes the boss fight a hell of a lot faster. Otherwise, run what you wish, but I still recommend a warlock for the Well of Radiance, which will help out during those close call moments and during damage when the boss is constantly shooting at you. If you're running a Titan on the team, you of course want to run Bubble Bro and be the player to run Oppressive Darkness Void Grenades. If you're a Hunter, you already know what to run, Bottom Tree Goldie with Nighthawk, and if there are 2 Warlocks, one of them will of course be the Radiance Well with Divinity, while the second runs a Slova Bomb, which is Top Tree Voidwalker, running Oppressive Darkness Grenades as well. It also helps out if you can equip the 2 Disruption mods from the artifact. They can be found on a chest piece and they go very well with Oppressive Darkness. Next, equip the mod Special Finisher, which drops special ammo during a finishing move, but be careful on how you use this. In previous videos, I made the mistake of not being specific enough using the term finish the enemy and using the finisher. So if you're a hunter, either use a Special Finisher only at the beginning or middle sections of this fight, and be careful towards the end, or equip it on the Warlock and Titans only. If you have a Titan in the group, definitely equip it. Now you don't want to get up to the boss and ready to do damage, but realize you just finished an enemy for ammo and now you're without a golden gun or a well for damage. So be careful and make sure you guys pay attention when to use it. Moving on to weapons, once again, you just cannot beat 2 players with Izanagi's with the Catalyst completed while one is running Divinity. Even though I have Izanagi's, I absolutely love using Divinity as my Warlock is made to be the support type of class, so it just fits. In the end, you can run 3 Izanagi's if you wish, but using Divinity helps you save ammo as you can just one-shot almost all of the champions and nightmares if you have Divinity procced on an enemy and you hit the weak spot with the charged Izanagi. For the rest of the loadouts, you're going to need arc and solar shield popping abilities and weapons, so 21% Delirium, Wendigo, solar grenade launcher like Outrageous Fortune, and a solar or arc secondary such as a Ringing Nail auto rifle, Mida Mini, etc. It all depends on what you're running, if it's Izanagi's or Divinity, and what your other teammates have on them. Now, if you or your teammates currently do not have Izanagi's or Divinity, then I recommend running a lot of Oppressive Darkness Grenades as they can do just about the same thing as Divinity. Run Whisper or Sleeper, or you can go for a kinetic sniper like Tranquility with Box Breathing, or other snipers that have the combinations Firing Line and 4th Time's a Charm. This also works pretty well if you can hit your shots. For secondary weapons, the solar grenade launcher Outrageous Fortune with spike grenades works very well, but Thunderlord can also be of help here. The new Vanguard LMG Edgewise, Ringing Nail, the Toaster, there's a bunch of weapons that you can run as secondaries if you do not have the recommended Izanagi Divinity loadout. So try these different combinations and see what works best. Oh, and before I forget guys, be sure that one of you has unstoppable rounds and the other, running the SMG or the AR, has anti-barrier rounds. The general idea for most of these nightmare hunts is to leave the champions alone and skip them by if at all possible, but sometimes you really don't have a choice, so equip them just to be safe. Alright Guardians, so we have our mod set, our characters picked, and now our weapons. So head on into the fight and make your way down to the first set of enemies. Just like the other fights, sometimes RNG can be in your favor or against, as there are different instances of enemies you can come across. As you can see, this first area we had an unstoppable ogre right off the bat. But when I was exploring this solo to see what kind of shields we would encounter, the ogre was nowhere to be found. So just be ready for anything. Okay, so like the other videos guys, have the player using Divinity kind of be the team lead here. They will make the callouts on what enemy to take out first. Simply spray with Divinity, and once the cage appears, one charged Izanagi shot will take it out. Just be sure to stun first before using Divinity if you're using it on an unstoppable ogre. So take out the rest and then move on down when the barrier opens. Now this next area has quite a few nightmares in the first section as well as the next, so try to lure out the nightmares while leaving the champions be. Just like before, use Divinity or Oppressive Darkness grenades on nightmares and then one-shot them with Izanagis. If you can, pick up the unstable essence orbs they drop behind and save your Izanagi shots by simply using grenade launchers or an SMG, auto rifle, etc. With the unstable essence and Divinity, you can melt them fairly quickly with your secondary weapons. If you're out of Divinity and Izanagis, be sure to save a few adds so you can use the finisher on them and get yourself some special ammo. Once you've taken out the nightmares in this first section, you now have to take out the second set in order for the barrier to open in the back of the room. So skip the rest of the ads, champions included, because remember, barriers inside of 99% of these nightmare hunts only care about nightmares and nothing else. So killing the nightmares, leaving the rest alive is how you get through these fights. Once you're in the second area, book it to the right hand side, or if you wish, the very top right, next to the barrier. This is a relatively safe place to try and fight from. Just like before, use Divinity, one tap with Izanagis, but I would try to get the witch down first unless there's a nightmare literally right next to you. A special activity modifier is on, and it has a form of arc burn in it, which means witches can and will ruin your day, so she is one enemy that's worth your time to take out. Warlocks, keep using your rifts and divine blessings in order to keep your teammates safe while you take out these enemies. Once the barrier is open, leave the rest of the ads and move on. After this, once you reach the end of the tunnel, you're on your final stretch of enemies, and once again, depending on the version you get, there could be a couple of different variations. There could be a couple of ogres, one at the very front, or unstoppable ogres, one at the very front as soon as you walk in, and then one unstoppable ogre at the very back. Or there's a version where there is no ogre at the front, but instead you have an unstoppable ogre along with a barrier knight in the back, which is the best version. Now usually you want to try and skip a lot of things by, but unfortunately this first area you're going to need to clear just about everything out. There's just not enough room to share the space with them. So you want to try and do this fast. Drop down a rift, use Divinity to signal who to shoot first, then work on trash mobs after that. Your grenade launcher comes in handy for this section. Try to pick off the nightmares, and once you're done, start walking towards the back. Now right before you round the corner, there will be an unstoppable ogre just waiting for you to pop around the corner, as well as a barrier champion. Of course, depending on your version. Here you want to slowly round the corner with a charged unstoppable round ready. Stun the ogre and then simply book it. Run past both of them, the shield guy and the ogre. The shield guy really isn't that much of a problem, but the ogre will ruin your day, so it's worth to take the extra 20 seconds to stun it before you run by. Once you get by them both, run into the tunnel and stick to the left or right hand side, as it will provide a little cover as you're making your way through. At the end of this tunnel, another surprise will await you, a bunch of Screeb. You can proc them to explode simply by jumping close to them and then bouncing away as you see here, or you could simply shoot them. Just be reminded that you have an ogre at the beginning of the tunnel behind you, so don't do it out in the open. Now guys, you're at the final area where the boss fight occurs. This boss fight can get hectic real quick. The longer you draw this fight out, the more hectic it can become. And since we're dealing with Scorn, they rush up in your face the entire time. So like Omnigul, the goal is to one-phase this boss, or if nothing else, get it to a sliver of health so you can easily take it out the second it's no longer immune. Be sure to have a Well of Radiance ready and your solar grenade launcher or auto rifle SMG if you cannot one-phase it. For this boss, you want to save your Radiance Well for after damage. Now that's kind of counterintuitive, but the well will help you out far more for when you have all those enemies rushing you with solar shields rather than using it for damage. Now speaking of damage, let's talk about how this fight goes down. Just like the others, you're going to want an extremely clean first round of damage, and like the others, it's all about setting yourself up. Head into the middle of the area and use the tunnel connecting the middle and the back as a way to kind of keep the rushing enemies out of your face. Take out all of the ads except for one nightmare. You want to get it to a sliver of health And if you need special ammo, have the Titan or the second Warlock running Nova, have them finish it for special ammo. Just be sure Golden Gun and Radiant Spell Warlocks, don't finish them, keep your supers. So now find the boss and the Nightmare with a sliver of health. Once they're both in a good position, kill the Nightmare, he'll drop an orange unstable essence orb. As a team, pick up the orb, head to a good vantage point for damage, Warlock drop a rift for added protection, and here is where your Dreambane mods as well as your Supreme Banisher mods come into play. Dreambane protects you from boss damage. Once the rift is placed, the unstable essence is picked up, Warlock starts spraying divinity, keep it on the entire time. Regardless of what happens, you want to keep that cage on the boss for as long as possible. If you have oppressive grenades, now is the time. Hunters, use your Golden Gun super with your Supreme Banisher mod on the boss. 2 Hunters with the mod and the Unstable Essence Orb can instantly melt the Fanatic. But even if you don't have Golden Gun Hunters, as you can see here, 2 Izanagis with Divinity plus Unstable Essence can also melt this guy pretty quickly. If you aren't familiar with Izanagis, then be sure to get into the habit of not double reloading. Once you have your honed edge shot ready to go, the millisecond after you fire the first shot, you want to hold down the R button or the X on console and keep it held down throughout the reload animation. This will let you instantly reload another honed edge shot. That way you don't have to reload your clip with 4 bullets and then reload again to get your honed edge shot, or a double reload as it's called. Reloading is a huge factor when it comes to DPS, and double reloading takes away a big chunk. And after a few shots, that should really about do it, guys. If the boss didn't get melted right away, head back up to the back of the tunnel and wait for the ads to start rushing in. Once they do, drop down a well or rift and start using your solar weapons, grenades, grenade launchers, SMGs, ARs, whatever you have. Get rid of them as soon as you can and be careful of the melees. Eventually the nightmares will start running up your way as well, but this time don't worry too much about them. Just take them out as you see them, and once the boss is no longer immune, put a shot into it, and congrats my friend, that should be it. This may seem like it takes a while, but as you can see at the bottom of the screen, guys, you can zoom through this fight very quickly. You have 11 minutes for this boss, so you don't have to rush through this one. But getting through this fight quickly is all about team coordination. Call out the nightmares and champions, but only if they are in your way. Use divinity, oppressive grenades, take care of them quickly, run past the rest. The main time saver here comes from your very first damage phase. Taking your time and setting yourself up nicely the very first time for damage is how you're going to save yourself a lot of time in the end by not needing to drag this fight on and get bogged down by ads and shields. If you get him down to a quarter of health, the second damage phase will not be anywhere near as long as the first, and if you can't kill him with 1 or 2 shots the second round, he's going to go immune extremely quickly due to his health bar, and that's where things start to get dangerous and where they start eating up time. So be sure to set yourself up nicely for that very first initial damage session. Other than that, Guardians, make sure your mods are set up properly, and that's really about it. As always, thank you for watching and for your support of Sly Nation. You know, it's not easy working and being a one-man YouTube team, and having the nation behind me is the only reason why I still look forward to making guides and Destiny content. So thank you guys, I really do appreciate it, especially those of you who have been here since we started, and thank you for those who are now just joining up. If you're new to my channel, then welcome, Guardian. Hope you found this guide helpful and enjoyable to watch. Subscribe for plenty more Destiny 2 videos, guides, reviews, and rants, along with other videos about gaming in general. Spank the thumbs up, but only if you enjoyed yourself, and if you catch yourself bored creeping around on farmersonly.com, feel free to check me out on Twitter or Facebook at Sly Nation Gaming over on the FB. Later, y'all, and once again, thanks for watching. Keep those eyes open for more D2 videos and guides coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you all in the next one.